Hello, I'm Jim St. Clair. I'm a member of the St. Louis Soaring Association here outside of St. Louis at Highland-Winnett Airport. This is our flight simulator, and this short video is going to explain the basics of getting it started up and you often flying on a simple flight. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look inside the box to verify that we see a blue glow in there. That makes sure that this box is powered. We don't want to start up the simulator without that box powered. If it's not, report that. My contact information is on the front of this monitor, my email, or if you're a member, you can see my phone number in the member roster. Next thing we're going to do, this is the sound bar. And what we should see here is it should say AUX for aux input. It should be powered on. If it's not powered on before you do anything else, make sure the sound bar is powered on. There's a label under here that says power. Turn that on. Next to the label is another button that says input. Make sure it says AUX on the front. If it doesn't, then Windows will reconfigure the sound settings, and that would have to be put back. It's still flyable, but the sound would not be as good. So that's the basics. The third step is get the remote. We want to make sure all three monitors are turned on together. And so we're going to point the remote kind of in the general direction of all the monitors, like this. So let's make sure they all come up with some power. If one of them does not, and I can see they all three have, in the lower right of each monitor is a power button. You can just press that. That's another way to get the monitor started up. Next step, step 4, I think. Press the power button on the CPU box down here on the floor. And now we're going to wait for the system to boot up. Okay, the system is booted now. We'll press the enter key. And it's going to look for the pin to log in. The pin is printed on the front of this monitor. It's case sensitive. Okay. Wait just a few seconds for some of the drivers and stuff to load on the main display in the center that you're going to want to know about. This one is, and they may move around, but there's one that says SLSA simulator instructions. This one says Condor manual. So the SLA simulator instructions just be some basic information and troubleshooting. The Condor manual is for the simulator software. We're running Condor 2, and I recommend that if you're going to fly the simulator regularly, you probably want to be familiar with that manual. And then the third icon you'll find on the desktop is Condor 2. That's the actual application. So I'm going to double click that one to get Condor 2 started. I've added one more link to the desktop, and that's my YouTube channel. And so from there, you should be able to get to this video that you're watching right now. Okay, now that Condor 2 has loaded, let's look at the simplest steps you can take to get started with the basic flight. You will click on Free Flight. And from here, click on Load, and then click on User Flight Plans. Look for this flight plan. There may be others in the list at some point, but this is a good one to get started with. SLSA K21, Flatland, like we have here, Aerotow. We don't have the Highland Airport modeled yet, so this is a airport in, I think, Slovenia. Okay, so we've loaded that flight plan. Now you've got some adjustments you can make to your flight here. If you click on weather, you can keep this weather that it'll load with, it's randomized, or you can actually go in and make some adjustments if you'd want to in wind speed, direction, and turbulence. Similarly, on thermals, you can make some adjustments here. It happens to be moderate strength thermal. And whether we have wave and the high cloud. From the next tab called Hangar, you by default then it'll be our primary trainer, the K21. But you can also go in and select 15-meter glider or one of the other gliders. And on the final tab, that's where how are you going to get airborne is set up, among other things. In particular, the start options, it's set up for aerotow, but if you prefer, you can start airborne by selecting that. And then you just click on Start Flight for the flight to load. So that's one option. There's one other option. We have flight school training lessons from gliderbooks.com. They have excellent training that they've set up in here and that we have added. And you can select one of these. Little tip, when this loads, it's a peculiarity of Condor, just move it, select that bar and just move it off center a little bit, or you can come back and have it hidden behind there. And from here, you can read the lesson, you can view the lesson, and you can click Try Lesson. So that's how you get started with a flight in Condor 2. I think it's a glitch in the Condor software, but sometimes when you click on Free Flight, it'll open in a weird way behind this main window. If you can see here, or it could be down here. When that happens, you're gonna kind of find that edge and click on it to bring that screen up. We have waited for the simulation to load, and as you can see, it's now loaded. So let's start talking through a few specifics on the controls here. I did mention earlier, this has to say aux. So now you know that you can see the word power there. It's powered on. If it wasn't, you can press that. It's a touch. It doesn't depress. You just put your finger there. And if this does not say aux, change the input so that it says aux. And the up and down volume controls are right here too. So let me show you about the rudder. It's adjusted simply by friction. So you can pull it forward. It's heavy, so it stays in place, or you can push it back. Over here, obviously this is yellow, that pulls the release, vario, altimeter setting, and frequency setting on the radio. And if you press this, you'll see smoke trailing off the wingtips. Over here, we have the gear control. The K21 we're flying right now does not have movable landing gear. If it did though, you would raise the gear by pulling the stick back and pressing down. You'll see there's a button there. In this simulator, it only handles one key press. It's a G key press to raise and lower the gear. But it simulates it, roughly at least. This is flaps. Flaps down and flaps up. The K21, as you know, is not a flapped glider, so that won't do anything with this aircraft. Over here we have trim and the spoilers. And you can see here, if I operate the spoilers, you will see them come out of the wing. And if I operate the trim, you will see the trim move. The next thing I'll talk about is this keypad. Basically, these keys move your view. I'll show you here. Moving this view to the right, to the left, and then this one in the middle snaps it back into its default position. These 4 keys will change the screen on the flight computer. 1, 2, 3, 4. And some of them you can press more than once to toggle different views. So the first key, that's the map view, but if you press it a second time, it's more terrain. And on the 4th, you get the compass view. From the map view on here, you can zoom in and out of the map. So those are the basic controls here. Again, move your point of view, center the point of view. This is a snap left. So you'll glance to the left until you release the key, and then it'll snap back. I'll show that. Snap back. That's all those controls. Now there's this stream deck here. Let me go over the controls there. This is probably the most important key. That's the same as pressing the escape key on the keyboard. And that's how you start and end your flight. This pauses the simulation. There's another pause button, by the way, on the back of the seat. I'll show that in a bit. Yeah, let me go back there. So if an instructor is helping you fly, they can press that yellow button on the back to also pause the simulator. This takes a screenshot. This will show the thermals. This will show the turn points if you have tasks. This will give you 1,000 feet of free altitude, different viewpoints. And that's that for the controls. So let's get the flight started. The first thing you're going to do is always press that game button. When you do, you'll see this on the screen. And from this point, you're going to go and press ready for takeoff. That will get the tow plane to come around. And here's the tow plane. So for the purpose of this demo, training demo, I'm not going to actually fly. So to end the flight now, just press the game button again and then exit the flight. Once you exit the flight, it'll bring you back to this screen. The 2 most important things to know from here are this will just restart the flight. That's very straightforward. And this will take you back to the main menu where you can make other selections. So I'll just go back to the main menu here. And then to exit Condor, I'll just click exit, which you have to confirm. So from here, let me talk a bit about shutting everything down. Here's what I'd suggest. Let's leave this on all the time. Then you'll shut down the PC just like any PC. Shut down. And I just press this again one time to turn off the monitors. And that's it. Thank you for watching the video. If you do have any questions, my contact information is on the front of the monitor there. Wanted to add something about advising everyone to not alter the setup of the simulator until you really thoroughly understand it and have real good skills around that. Maybe check with me first before you start doing that kind of thing, because we've got a lot of setup here, but because we all use this computer, it's not behind any security, so it's sort of all available. And that way we'll be able to keep the simulator up, hopefully most of the time. So, thank you.